Hello, dear friends. Each day brings a choice. Practice stress or practice peace. Love has no fear. When you love, all fear disappears. And when you are afraid, all love disappears. We will show you a new world. The blind will see the light soon. A brave, new, beautiful world is coming. We take this journey together, step by step, verse by verse. Opinion piece. Final countdown. The return of the gold standard is inevitable. Players communicate by numbers. For years, it was supposed to start tomorrow. November 11 is the 24th in the Julian calendar. Pope Francis says global reset is real. There will be an unhackable quantum internet. Lighting channels are talking to the wall. Massive purchases of camping gas for fear of blackout. Australian farmers destroy avocado trees with their tractors. Are we humanitarian-minded or currency traders? Was the script for the science fiction Star Trek series channeled? Moon has enough oxygen for 8 billion people. Hackers breach FBI's email server. Donald Trump to launch social networking platform called Truth Social. Let's start. We have entered the final countdown in an epic behind-the-scenes struggle taking place in remote subway facilities, reveals Dr. Michael Salla. The end of the war is near. A countdown is a decreasing time remaining until an anticipated event. In astronautics, it is a countdown in the opposite direction of the minutes and seconds preceding the launch of a rocket. The Federation and the Coalition have made extensive preparations to make the communications system completely secure. Now, in the hands of the Coalition are the radio frequencies, which were hacked by the Orion Grease, the three leader agencies and the Dark Fleet. The last part of this fight, the final countdown, is the subway war. Nobody knows. When will the global financial reset occur? Probably right after the launch of the emergency broadcast system, the takeover of the media and the announcement of a worldwide martial law. When would that be? No one knows, as it depends on certain world events happening. Humanity's rightful place in the cosmos by Cinema Galactic. Anti-gravity propulsion, zero-point energy, replicators, healing technologies and age reversal. I want there to be freedom like we have never known. So much freedom that humankind takes the next step in its evolution. One step closer to our full potential, which means the end of all evil in the universe, the end of those who rebelled against Source and against all of its creation. That is why these technologies have been hidden from us. Why are we still paying for gas for a technology that has not changed in over 100 years? Why are we being deliberately kept down in every sense of the phrase? I want to go, reach, fly and dream to discover all the possibilities of the cosmos and this amazing life. To talk to the wall. According to Stefan, the lighting channels are talking to the wall, because subscribers simply cannot or will not apply what is reported to them. How many times has it been said that currency reset is not a date-related event? How many times has it been said that a date was never published? How many times has it been said that no one knows or can know when anything will happen? And yet people interpret, forecast, drive expectations up and virtually wish for disappointment. For years, it's supposed to start tomorrow. Exchange dates. They have been proclaimed for months, long ago activated for months, driving expectation and euphoria at the top. Are we prepared for the new world? Do we have a humanitarian or currency exchanger mentality? The military is the only way, and the military doesn't talk, especially not about plans or projects, and in any case it is coded or meant to be confused by the enemy. Now we are in the same scenario of the Matrix movie, where Neo is standing in the corridor, stopping the bullets of the agents and dropping them to the floor, and the same faces of the agents disbelief, knowing they have lost, now have the last puppets of the dark side, no matter where they are still fighting. The derailed features showed their realization, and with it the fear they themselves created for others, which is now coming back to them. It is the law of attraction and the law of instant karma. Temporary war. The Council of Nine and the future of Star Trek, according to Dr. Michael Salla. Star Trek was conceived as a bridge to a future reality in the midst of undeclared temporal war between rival factions. Therefore, the success of the Star Trek series was attributed to the collective unconscious of humankind that recognized it as a potential timeline that needed to be embraced in order for it to become a reality. This galactic tyranny was first identified by another organization, the Andromeda Council, which notified the Federation, which intervened in what had become a wide-ranging temporal war where humankind potential timelines were being greatly affected, impacted by different off-world groups. One of the most intriguing aspects of Gene Roddenberry's creation of the Star Trek franchise was his involvement with a mysterious group calling itself the Council of Nine, which was being channeled by psychic Philip Schlemmer in the 70s. Roddenberry participated in the channeling sessions from 1974 to 1975, and in questions and answers that were recorded in Schlemmer's 1993 book, The Only Planet of Choice. And what gave the Council of Nine credibility was that its existence was confirmed in the famous Law of One channeling sessions held from 1981 to 84, which are widely considered to be the most authoritative channelings ever conducted due to the strict scientific protocols used by a retired physics professor, Don Elkins. The precise relationship between Saturn's rings and Ganymede as the current base of operations for the Confederation and the Council of Nine has yet to be explained. Julian calendar. We are currently on the Gregorian calendar, but that is not the only calendar. There are many calendars. What we are interested in at the moment is the Julian calendar, which was used until October 15, 1582 after Christ. The dark side communicates in numbers, and so does the opposing team. November 11 of the Julian calendar will be our November 24th. On November 24th, 1963, President Kennedy took office. According to John O'Savin, when it comes to calendars, you have Gregorian, Julian, solar, and lunar calendars, because you are dealing with occult secrets, occult ideas from occult players. These occult groups have their own coded way of it talked in their religious circles. When you go into numbers, calendars, dates, and these secret communications that are taking place in plain sight in front of us, you have to know who the players are to understand what they might be saying, and it may vary slightly. Context is everything. For example, in Washington, D.C., your holy city, the occult language, the universal language that is used in D.C., is the language of numbers. All kinds of ideas and concepts are conveyed in numbers. Apocalyptic news. Internet apocalypse. Earth faces internet apocalypse. Warning after cannibal solar storms forecast. Over the next 4 years, scientists expect significant disruption of magnetic radiation from solar storms that apparently cannibalize each other to wreak havoc on internet and other satellite communication. As the next peak of solar activity approaches in 2025, power grids, aircraft communication systems, and satellite networks could be affected, and it is feared that the disappearance of the internet would leave part of the world offline for months. Quantum Internet. Professor John Paulson of the Harvard School of Engineering described a recent breakthrough using quantum entanglement that would lead to the development of an unhackable quantum internet. Quantum computing is considered to be unhackable, and this is where it is so important to distinguish it from artificial intelligence, as they are very different technologies. Simply put, quantum entanglement can be used to create a secure computer or communication system that cannot be hacked and has nothing to do with artificial intelligence. Supply crisis, food, goods, fuel shortages, supply chain. As of Thursday, November 11th, a record 164 ships were waiting to unload off the coast of California, waiting to unload containers at the docks. The data shows that the bottleneck is now getting worse. The record on November 5th was 159, down from 100 ships in mid-October. The crisis was evident even in September, with 60 ships stuck waiting. Ports receive about 40% of all incoming containers. Australian farmers destroy avocados with their tractors in the face of record harvest and plummeting prices and demand. Australian avocado farmers are facing a major crisis as the price of avocados plummets due to falling consumer demand. Ray Dalio reveals that real wealth appears to be growing through inflation. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio has raised the red flag as inflation hit a 31-year high, with the cost of living in the world's largest economy experiencing a 6.2% year-on-year increase. Money is dying. We are enduring the superinflation crisis, which differs from hyperinflation and is interconnected with supply chain and food shortages, says Willem Middelkoop. He warns that it is very difficult to curb the spiraling distrust people feel, leading to concerns about foreign exchange and government bonds. China understands that the US is in decline and they are on the rise, says Middelkoop. and they are working toward 2049, building their power and influence in the world over the long term. He says gold would be insurance for its value, and it would be risky cash in the bank. So he advises people to get their money out of the system. I expect more financial repression for governments, and there would be a big fight between cryptocurrencies and the fiat system, he concludes. World Forum. The World Economic Forum's grand narrative. The World Economic Forum just held a meeting in Dubai, led by its founder, Klaus Schwab, and this grand narrative could give global elites even more power to promote their grand reset agenda. During the meeting, they called for the creation of a story for the future to lead humankind. Pope Francis says global reset is real and there is no return to normalcy. In a message to the Paris Peace Forum, the Pope painted the dire pictures of a pre-crisis world dominated by corruption, war and oppression. In quotes, the reality we knew before the crisis was that wealth and economic growth were reserved for a minority, while millions of people were unable to meet the most basic needs and lead a dignified life. Francis said, quotes again, a world in which our earth was plundered by short-sighted exploitation of resources, by pollution, by disposable consumerism, and wounded by wars and experiments with weapons of mass destruction. Returning to normalcy would also mean returning to old social structures, inspired by self-reliance, nationalism, protectionism, individualism, and isolationism. He added, and excluding our poorest brothers and sisters. Is this future we can choose? He asked, but what he didn't say is that his remedy is worse than the disease. Antichrist. We are in a time of destruction of the Antichrist and his followers. They will unleash their main weapon, deception. This will come in the form of many revelations, in quotes, of false information stickers. Please do not commit to any information until you know it is beneficial. Massive crash. A massive stock market crash is coming, according to the Atlantis report. Stocks, bonds, and real estate are at all-time highs. Household incomes are at all-time highs. Government spending is at all-time high. Consumer demand is so strong that supply chains can't keep up. We are either in the greatest economic boom of all time or the mother of all bubbles. There is a dangerous situation brewing here. We have energy shortages, labor shortages in some sectors, shortages of all kinds of goods, housing shortages, at least at the affordable lower end, tangled supply chains, and political leaders hell-bent on making things worse. We have had a very high standard of living for the last century. I suspect that it's being challenged now. I can't fall quite significantly without feeling like a total crash, but our lifestyle depends on cheap energy. If we really get significant inflation in food and fertilizer prices and farmers get squeezed on their margins, perhaps driving out of business, there could well be widespread starvation. What has kept this world economy propped up for far longer than anyone thought it could be is a testament to the incredible level of modern productivity. We have been living off that productivity for the last 40 years, and we are running out of it. When the crash came, it would be sudden. They thought that by creating a little inflation, they could slowly manage the debt over time. All they really did was make the politicians realize that they don't have to stop spending money, and that they can massively increase the debt because they will never be allowed to raise rates and print money to pay off the debt. Curious news. The fear of a major electricity blackout reaches Spain with massive purchases of camping gas. For days, social networks and instant messaging applications have been filled with warnings of what is to come, and the media, even the big ones, publish articles with recommendations to survive the lack of electricity. Buy camping stoves, blankets, candles, and canned food. Hackers breach FBI email server. Hackers compromised a Federal Bureau of Investigation email system Saturday and sent tens of thousands of messages warning of a possible cyber attack. Donald Trump to launch a social networking platform called Truth Social. The former president, who remains excluded from Facebook and Twitter, aims to rival those tech giants. Trump has announced plans to launch a social networking platform called Truth Social to be launched early next year. Although the platform is built as free and open communication service that encourages honest global conversation, the terms of service agreement prohibits users from mocking the site. Ukraine announces a start of energy war with Russia. Ukraine is now fighting Russia in a hybrid war over energy imports. Kiev claimed, alleging that Moscow would now be working to cut off supplies of fuel needed to power factories and heat homes in the country. Putin calls NATO naval exercises in the Black Sea a serious challenge for Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin called it a serious challenge for Russia that NATO is using strategic aviation equipped with combat weapons during its naval exercises in the Black Sea. British general warns of possible accidental war with Russia. The UK and its allies would be at greater risk of military conflict with Moscow now than during the Cold War, the chief of the defense staff said, adding that traditional diplomatic mechanisms no longer exist. The emergence of a multipolar world from the ashes of the bipolar international system of the Cold War would lead to greater competition between nations. London bridges are falling down. It's not clear who to blame, and that is the reason of the problem. In spring 2019, microfractures were found in the cast iron pedestals of Hammersmith Bridge in West London, one of more than 40 crossings of the River Thames in the capital. It has been closed to cars and buses ever since. That has knock-on effects on the neighbouring bridges at Chiswick and Putney, as the 20,000 vehicles that used to cross Hammersmith Bridge every day look for other routes. The moon has enough oxygen for 8 billion people. The moon's atmosphere doesn't contain enough oxygen for human life, but beneath the planet's rocky top layer, there is enough gas to sustain 8 billion human lives from 100,000 years, according to a leading scientist. Don't be afraid. Operation Disclosure by Alison Stonewolf. Don't be afraid to be a trailblazer. The world is full of followers who stumble blindly. You have a higher calling. There are countless people who jump on the bandwagon. In my life, I have known many who talked grandly, many who professed all sorts of things. It is when the night comes, you meet those who hold the torch for you. For it is not success or failure that measures us, but our intentions. In striving to do good, we will be judged. I have come a long way. I have seen and had many. My best teachers had no letters after their name, nor did they look for authenticity in others. I laugh ruefully at self-proclaimed prophets. I knew some real ones. They always brought me to my knees in humility. Beware of false prophets. There is a lot of hot air surrounding those who need uplifting. Yes, and it may come, but in the end it will bring them down to earth, naked, ashamed, and needy. Authentic power does not need books. It does not subscribe to anyone's philosophy. The knowledge was always there. You simply drowned out the voice. Ask me, what should I do now? I say, go within. Connect with the ancient part of you that knows everything you need to survive. In the depths of suffering, we rise up as warriors. That's the real power, that core of steel you never knew you had. You were just sleeping. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.